Hi, everybody. Welcome to Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life. It's a TV show by Ladies Power Lunch. And hi, I am Dr. Davia Shepherd. I am your host. And on our show, what we talk about is how can we grow our businesses, but instead of working harder and pushing and pulling and stressing and straining and struggling, how can we make it easier and more fun and have just a more wonderful time as we do that thing that we've been not just deciding to do, but the thing that we've actually been called to do, the thing that brings our hearts joy, and the things that we feel like we're here to share the message about. But while we're doing it, how wonderful would it be if we could also, I don't know, live our optimal lives, maybe? That would be so amazing. And so those are the things that we talk about on our show. And today, my very special guest, Hannah McKitrick, who is an Italian trained chef, who is an amazing coach. We just love Hannah in our organization. She does a lot of cooking demonstrations for our members. She teaches us so much. She leads retreats. She's amazing. I love her. And she's here to teach us today how to nourish our abundance. Hannah, will you introduce yourself to our audience and just share who you are and what exactly it is that you're doing in the world?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Davia. So my name is Hannah, and I'm a wellness chef, a holistic nutritionist, a coach, a retreat leader, and I founded the business My Intuitive Health with the strong knowing that health is not something that you should dread or feel like you have to do, but rather I believe every person has the ability to create their own intuitive health. And when I say intuitive health, I mean health that doesn't make you feel like icky. It makes you feel excited. You want to do it. You don't have to think about it. It becomes automatic. And the way that I like it to become automatic is to pump the fun into it. So, people will come to me being like, oh, I don't want to have cooking feel like a chore, and I don't want to feel like I'm on a diet and things like this. And the thing that I say is it has to be fun. So that's kind of what I like to bring into my different programs and especially my retreats. So yeah, I would say people would describe the programs as kind of a full mind, body, soul experience. And I do that through the connection with the people in the program, and also with the actual things that we're creating. I like to emphasize like the act of using your hands really helps get you from your head back into your body. And to me, that's a really nice creative outlet. Does that answer your question, Davia?
Sure, absolutely. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, how you got to this place of being the intuitive chef, basically. I want to talk to you about that. But before we dive into that, I would love for you to share with our audience about how you are living your best life this summer. Because as far as I know, you went on this retreat that I so dearly wanted to attend, but wasn't able to put all my ducks in a row to get to. Tell us a little bit about the retreat that you just came back from last week.
Yeah. So first of all, being an entrepreneur is the best gift I've ever given myself because I can do whatever the crap I want. But actually, I have the flexibility to work when I want to work and not be on someone else's timetable. So to me, that means being able to travel the world and work from anywhere. So last week I was on a transformational retreat in Guatemala, and oh my God, it was so beautiful. And it helped to really, it was a pause in a sense, but it also was like diving deep into your soul and bringing up all of your parts, to increase your capacity of being with yourself and loving yourself. And so as an entrepreneur, I mean, that's a recipe for success. Like the less blocks that are in your way, the more that you can expand, the more that you can show up more authentically for your people, and the more that you can model and be that inspiration of what it is to me, it was a chance to fully embody yourself. And that's a lot of what I preach, is embodiment, like the mind, body, soul, and not fighting against your body or your mind or whatever. So that's where I was. And I actually was able to lead a group call for my program from Guatemala. I had a guest speaker on empowerment, body empowerment and self-confidence, and breaking up with diets. So that was the call that I led from Guatemala last week.
So for people who want to break up with their diets, absolutely recommend Hannah. I want you to tell us a little bit too about your recent trips to places like Bali and your recent retreat to Italy. So let's circle back to that, because I think what people really want to know is, Hannah, you're living the dream. And people want to know what's your why? How did you even get here? How did you go from being Hannah the teenager to being Hannah the amazing Italian trained chef?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm just sending a lot of compassion to the teenager Hannah. I like this version of me a lot better. But so it's been a journey. And there's a lot of different things at play that got me to where I am. But some of the main things, let's see, I was born a foodie. Everyone who knows me knows that. I love food. I love cooking. It's always been my passion.
So you were the baby who didn't quite like that particular mashed potatoes, but if you added a little cilantro, maybe you'd have it.
Well, I don't like cilantro, so no. But I was the 5-year-old who had the pancake recipe memorized, and I was, Saturday morning making pancakes. And the thing that I loved about it is that I could make them the exact way that I wanted, which was like a little underdone. So like that's kind of weird, but I loved it. And so I loved being able to create them the way that I wanted. So yes, I love being in the kitchen. And the health piece kind of crept its way in when I was about 19. And as you know, I have Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune disorder, inflammation of your gut. And so at 19, up to that point, I had been having flare-ups pretty regularly, and I'd be hospitalized and yada, yada. And at that point is when I started working with a holistic practitioner to actually use food to heal my gut. So lots of whole foods, whole grains, vegetables, and that's it. And it was that summer where, yes, I healed my gut. It was, it actually worked, which was cool, but it sucked the life out of me, the emotional life. People would be like, oh, do you feel amazing? And I was like, no, I feel sad because I can't like cook like yummy things. It's boring. And So that to me kind of was the stepping stone of being able to have that foundation of what I was eating while being able to add back in joy. And it became so clear that flexibility and balance is such an important part for the way that I do my health, because I was miserable that whole summer when it was so rigid. So at that time, I realized that rigidity is not for me, and flexibility, even just a little bit, can go such a long way, to the point where you feel like you are being healthy and you have your freedom. So that's like the health piece. And then after college, I started working full time in corporate jobs. I was in food sales, which I thought was like the best thing ever, because I didn't know that grown up jobs you could do that had food in them. So I was like, yay. But then after like a year and a half, I was like, okay, like what's next? I'm bored. Like, I had already reached as far as I was going to reach at that job, and I wanted more. My soul wanted more. And so the next logical step was culinary school in Italy. So that's where I went. I don't know, when I was like 23. And the reason that I went, well, one, it was a soul knowing, and I don't know if you've ever had that. I know you've had that, where you just like, it might not make logical sense, but you just know that it's for you. And so for me, I actually knew that I did not want to be like a chef in a restaurant. But I knew that it would probably add value to whatever career move I made next. And if it didn't, I didn't care, because I just wanted to be there. So that is what got me there. And I'm saying this because when I was living in Italy, going to classes, learning about Italian cuisine, it set the bar for how I want to live the rest of my life, because it was so magical, like absolutely magical. And I didn't want to come home and have to settle for anything less. And I think that's really important to mention, because that was a lot of the driving motivation behind why I wanted to be an entrepreneur and why I keep reaching for these crazy dreams, is because I got a taste of it. And in fact, I got I got a tattoo on the back of my neck when I was there that says Dolce Vita, which means sweet life. And I got that to remind myself, basically, to never settle. So that's kind of what planted the seed for this expansive life and dream. But of course, I did get back, and I did go back into a job, because that's what I knew and that's what was available. And it was a job that I thought I'd like. It was at Italy. I was the event coordinator. I was helping with their cooking classes. It sounded really cool, but it wasn't for me. And so that at that time I started to get really into yoga, and I started doing online nutrition courses to like learn even more about nutrition. I was just so drawn to wellness. I think being overworked, like 16-hour days and late nights, I really, that's not for my body. So I wanted to learn even more about wellness. And it just every time I'd pass like a healthy cooking magazine, I would like light up. And so I knew that was for me. And then I started working I got another job after getting more trainings in yoga and nutrition. And it was good, but then the pandemic hit. And that was when I thankfully had a moment to pause and really tune into what I wanted, and what I wanted to create. And I got a really clear download from the universe, like retreats, Italy, healthy cooking, wellness. Like that's what came to me. So I was like, okay, yes, this is like my soul's path. This is for me. and that was June 2020. And so it's been 2 years of figuring it out and throwing spaghetti at the wall. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it's a little crunchy, but it's been such an amazing journey of like holding that dream and then winding it back like 10,000 steps and figuring out what the next right step is to take in order to create this blissful experience for other people with mind, body, soul, healthy cooking.
That's so beautiful. So you're now a yogi, you're a chef, you're a retreat leader, you're a coach, you're all the things bottled into one to help support people who are on a journey to having their best possible relationship with food and with nourishing themselves. Why is that important for entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So I'm thinking of my most recent client. She's an entrepreneur, and she came to me and so first of all, I had this vision of, there's so many ways I could say this. So I picture it as your physical body is basically a support for your highest good. So it's like, and I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, at least in our circles, are very energetically sensitive and emotionally sensitive. You know what I mean? It's like you're very in tune, like you're tapped in, turned on. And sometimes when you're that turned on, meaning like you sense things, whatever, it's kind of in your best interest to keep your energetic body clear and clean. And for me, and for my clients, the way that looks is one, movement, like physically moving to like keep that clean, and two, nourishing your body. It's almost like so that you can keep your vessel clear for your own knowing. And when I say your own knowing, I mean like your intuition, things that you feel are right versus wrong. It's like you're more tapped into that knowing when you are able to keep your vessel clear and help like your energetic body healthy. And
So
so
let me interrupt you for just a moment. I just want to make sure that we're understanding what you're saying. You're saying that as the highly intuitive beings that we tend to be as entrepreneurs, that keeping our bodies clean in terms of what we're putting into it is as important as the other things when it comes to attracting abundance. Is that what you're saying?
yes.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yes. And that can feel really overwhelming to some people. Like, okay, well, how the crap do I stay healthy? Like, I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to do. And so the woman who just recently came to me was like, I wish it could be, I want it to be fun. Like, I don't want, and what I said to her is it has to be fun. Like, or else what, like, why bother, And so like when I say fun, I mean like that's different for every person. For instance, like Davia, I know you enjoy yoga flows every now and then. That's great. That would be a fun activity for you to keep your energetic body clear for you to attract more abundance. However, I'm like, I wouldn't tell you to go on a run if that's not going to bring you joy. Like we can find other ways to keep yourself clear and intact, And so it's not an all or nothing, and it's not this way or the highway. It's like what way works for you to add the most value physically and emotionally. Oh, you're
Thank
on.
you. That's really, really, really great information for you to share. So the time goes by so very quickly when we're having fun, and hanging out with you, Hannah, is always fun. Can you share with us some of the do's and the don'ts for making sure that the work that we're doing, the food that we're eating, the things that we're putting in our bodies are actually nourishing us and nourishing our abundance?
Yeah. So I don't like when things are complicated. And I've learned a lot about nutrition. I've learned Eastern medicine, I've learned Western medicine, I've learned herbs and all these things. And I still keep the same like three kind of guidelines in my head of healthy nourishment, because it's simple to me. So when I think of creating a nourishing meal, I'll think of one, vegetables, right? Like we know those are healthy. And then two, whole foods. So when I say whole foods, I mean one word ingredients such as eggs, chicken, quinoa, corn, carrots, stuff like that. And that to me is the simplest way to kind of like quickly check to make sure that, okay, this is like a nourishing meal. And it's just like the fewer ingredients, the easier it is generally to digest. So it's just more complimentary to your body generally. And then from there, the third thing that I like to think of is flexibility. So I'm not just eating brown rice and broccoli. I'm not, but I am adding in like different cheeses, just like a little bit. Or, you know, if I'm getting takeout, like I'm not thinking about it as much, or like a cookie after a nourishing meal, stuff like that. And the flexibility is really your room for creativity and your room to create that kind of fun, if you will, of what you actually enjoy. Like maybe for you, Davia, it's not cookies, maybe it's like a warm baguette or whatever. So that's what I would encourage you to add on to your meal, if that feels good. So vegetables, whole foods, and flexibility. That's kind of the big do for me. Like that's how I live my life. For don't, I would say don't take yourself too seriously. Don't be too rigid, because it won't last, you know? And you're not meant to follow a certain thing. You're meant to listen to yourself, your own body. And that's where you'll find the most success, the most long-term success. And by success, I mean, you'll feel good physically and you'll have a lot of joy around it emotionally. Like you won't feel like you're trying to fit yourself into this mold of how to eat and how to be. You'll just be.
I love that. I love keeping it simple. That makes perfect sense. I love not taking yourself too seriously, having fun. If people were to take one message from you today, Hannah, if they're to forget everything else that you've said and just remember this one thing, take this one thing away and allow it to be the beginning of their life of abundance as far as what they're putting into their bodies is concerned, what would be that, just that one thing you want everybody to remember?
That's too much pressure, Davia.
I know, but isn't it great to put all this pressure on? No,
Yeah, I mean, like, no, but yeah, I guess. One thing that I'd want people to know, um, I sound like a broken record, but I want to say have fun with it and like
yeah.
do what that means to you. Like if it's getting support from a coach, if it's surrounding yourself in a community of people who also are have similar mindsets of like wanting to add more health but not really, you know, knowing how, inviting friends over to cook with you, inviting friends over, or just like getting a community of people that are into this with you so that you don't feel alone, getting creative, and just not taking yourself too seriously, having fun and not taking yourself seriously. I think that's a really good recipe for success when you're trying to navigate the kitchen. It's like little this, little that, fire. Okay, it's fine. Next thing.
I love that. And you know, my favorite part of what you just said is adding community to it. For me personally, and for you who have been watching our show, you know that when we talk about this, grow your business smarter, live your optimal life, a big part of it is that collaboration, that community that you develop around all the things that you do so that it ends up being easier and it ends up being more fun. So I absolutely co-sign on that line that says yes, be part of a community. Hannah and I have something in common in which, well, she has full-on Crohn's. I also have an autoimmune disorder that prevents me from engaging with gluten and some other lectins. And so it's nice to be in community with people like Hannah and other people who have similar problems, because then we can share recipes and we can talk about the things that will help to support us since we're unable to engage with certain things. So it's really, really great to have community. It's, I feel, where none of us are having enough fun. If you feel like you're having enough fun, I think you need to go have some more, because clearly there is no limit to what fun can be and how much fun you can have just with your food. It's not just for sustenance, it's also for enjoyment, because we were given taste buds, right?
Yeah,
That
and
was
even like as you're speaking, like you can't have gluten. So immediately I'm thinking of like, okay, what meals can we make that have zero gluten, but like are really, really yummy? And so it's like focusing on all the things you can have and making those taste really good instead of being like, oh, like I can't, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's ways to make what you've got or what you can have really, really good.
there are, absolutely. Focus on what you can have and make every meal amazing, as
Yeah,
opposed
it's
to
like
focusing on what you can't.
when you're bringing that energy to one area of your life, like, so we said not taking ourselves too seriously and having fun, that inevitably trickles down into other aspects of your life. You're going to feel lighter. You're going to have more joy. What do you think's going to happen with your business? It's going to be lighter. There's going to be more joy, and you're going to be attracting more abundance. Same with your relationships. You're going to be happier. They're going to be happier. It's such a beautiful loop.
It is. It is. There, it's all interconnected. At the end of each show, I always pull a card. Just
Ooh.
a thought for the day to help us go through the day. This one says against the grain. And I'm wondering, Hannah, what you think this has to, well, against the grain. Lectins, maybe gluten. I don't know. I don't think that's what she meant, but it's from the Sacred Rebels Guidebook by Alana Fairchild that we pulled the card from today. And it says this article comes with a special message for you. You're someone who lives and breathes in the depths of creative waters. You need to lose yourself in the flow of music, nature, dreams, imagination, and fantasy through art, literature, meditation, dance, and in sensual surrender to the sacred waters of the ocean, the river, the lake, or the bathtub. You must go against the grain. It is your way. You're not one of the followers, but one of the agitators. However, yours is not a force of disrespectful chaos. You're a loving catalyst. And by simply being yourself, you constantly remind people that there is always another way. There's always another way. What do you think, Hannah? How do you think that fits in with what we've been talking about today?
I was kind of getting lost in the words. And you
But
know,
I just thought it was interesting that it was against the grain when we were talking just now about being gluten-free. So
yeah, yeah, it's just like, I mean, I'm thinking now specifically like in the industry, like you're inundated with other people telling you what to do, how to eat, how to be. And it's just like going against the grain. In this case, it almost sounds like going against what everything that you've been told, you know? And you kind of have to when it comes to food, because everyone is telling you that everything's the enemy. It's gluten, it's dairy, it's meat. It's just like, no, like you have to just like tune in and get creative with yourself. And go in the flow that's right for you, whether that's in your business, whether that's what you're eating. It's no one else's business except yourself.
how can people get in touch with you, Hannah? Because they're gonna wanna.
They can go to I would say either my social medias. My Facebook is Hannah McKitrick. My Instagram is Hannah McKitrick. Or my website, which is myintuitivehealth.com. I have my different programs on there, my emails on there. So send me a message. Always want to chat.
Trust me, guys, you're going to want to talk to Hannah. Thank you so much for being our special guest today. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in with us today. I absolutely, absolutely love having conversation about how we can all live our optimal lives. And so I look forward to our next show. See you guys next time. Bye, everyone.